The final stop on the 2020-21 BMW IBSF World Cup Tour is Innsbruck in Austria. When a man is tired of Innsbruck, he is tired of life, to almost capture Dr. Johnson. This is a fantastic venue to come sliding, and it's the third time this season that the World Cup has rolled into town. We're getting ready to start our action with men's skeleton. I'm Martin Haben, and with me John Morgan. John, this track, this is the classic. Easy to get down, hard to get down fast.
Yeah, this was the first real refrigerated track that was built for the '76 Winter Olympic Games, Martin, and just remember, where was the first place you ever saw AstroTurf? Well, that's what this track is. I mean, this was the first place was refrigerated ice for an Olympic competition. Koenigsegg was the first artificial track, but Tretiakov owns the track record. As you said, it's easy to get down, hard to get down fast around this first curve. We'll get our speed trap. It'll tell us right off the bat if they got a good start, if they made any mistakes at the top. Little 5, 6, 7 combination, you're still accelerating speed, and now this big whip around. Watch you go underneath where you come in, you exit there, and now curve 8, 9. Pivotal part of the track though for speed. And now this big sweeping 10. This is where you pick up the best speed. 3-quarter combination, the labyrinths, every track's gotta have one. There can be some action here. Then uphill, there's still a finish line dealing uphill right there. And then this is the most interesting finish on the planet, because you got to hit these mats, and after you hit the mats, that's another story that'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, fun to watch, but not fun to do, I don't think. Now, the top 6 in the World Cup, top 5 in our World Cup are not here. They are all testing in Altenburg for the World Championships. So the Crystal Globe will go to Martin Stucors ahead of Alexander Gassner and Thomas Stucors. But 9 of our 26 starters in the field were here in December when we had 2 race weekends. Only 9, mind you. Alexander Tretiakov and Nikita Chegabov, like their Russian female counterparts, did the first weekend, then went for a week's training in Altenburg. So just 2 podium finishers, one there, Matt Weston of Great Britain, who was silver medalist in race 2, and Nikita Chegabov, the bronze medalist from race 1, they're here as well. Well, after snow during training, it rained overnight. It is still drizzling with rain, so it is a little bit of a whitewater rafting affair. And so the later starters, you just saw Sun Bin Yun of Korea. He is with us, and he will be one of the later starters. They are going to struggle. It may well be time for snorkel flippers and a wetsuit. So our starting list, well, Austin Florian gets away with start draw number 1, so that's good news for him. Third off, Ander Mirambel, his 90th World Cup start. And for Sun Bin Yun in 15th place, actually his 50th World Cup start. I can't believe it's that many already for Yun. So 26 sleds in the field, the fast 20 go through. And we have 4 rookies. And JeanJacques Buf from Switzerland making only his 2nd World Cup start. Race 8, the season finale for the BMW IBSF Men's Skeleton World Cup. We're back at Innsbruck in Austria for the 3rd time this season, but for our North American and Korean sliders, it is only the 1st time. First of our starters, 26-year-old Austin Florian from the USA. Matt Antoine holding the sled. John Morgan, a great chance for Austin to use the best ice we'll see today.
Yeah, he had a top 10 there a couple weeks ago in Winterberg, I think it was, and 15, 10, and 14 in his 3 appearances. The start, Martin, 493 on the start. That's one of his, used to be a little bit better starter, but 472 is the record. Keep your eye on the speed, 50.3. That velocity on this track is extremely important. Exit of Kreisel, like a bullet. And now this is where you're still accelerating, curve 9, pivotal part of the track. He comes right down the middle, 64 kilometers, 65 kilometers or miles per hour. 70. the Rabbit, 53.49. Martin, you talked about the snow conditions. Well, we are far away from that record, second and a half.
Yeah. Yeah, and the track will not be getting much quicker later in the run either, so the late runners are going to have all they can do to try and make it into the field. Austin Florian then with the best opportunity, freshest ice.
Well, you watch everything you do here. So his toes dragging there. Look at the water and the friction come off his toes there and some spray. Little tap there. That's going to cost him going into 9. On the exit here, though, he cleaned it up pretty well. The question is, that tap cost him how much steering did he have to go through curve 9? So he looks at the replay.
Yeah. Well, right now, only he will know how good that felt or otherwise. Next up, Sebastian and Anki from Romania, 18th and 16th in the 2 races here in December. They weren't on the same weekend, they were 2 separate weekends. This is only his 8th World Cup, his 4th in Innsbruck. So half of his sliding career in World Cup racing has been on this track.
I'd like to know how many people would raise their hand when you ask them, where was your first bobsled ride, Martin? Or first skeleton ride?
Quite a
Boy,
few.
this track might show up. Yeah, this is the birthplace of many careers right on this track. My first runs in Europe was on this track. No, I take that back. Koenigsee was my first run. Take that back. But track's been here. The Innsbruck people do a spectacular job, the sports people, keeping this thing available for everybody. Great place to learn. Best speed, Martin. Red numbers,
skinny,
but 1800s for that.
Red.
Now he's back to second best speed, so 2500s behind maybe. 16, not bad. He held it on the bottom. He was losing it. You know, he got beat at the top by 600s. That should be 18 at the bottom. So he, in essence, using our math, 3 times multiplier, he should be 1800s behind. He's only 1600s behind. He outdrove the American Florian to the bottom. Look at a lot of movement with his toes. A little bumpy right there, Martin. And the skid there, there's the skid. That's, and then into the finish. You think it's over here. It's not over until right there. You know, you can, that uphill section can be deceiving.
See how it's starting to frost up. The rain has stopped, but I mean, 10 minutes ago, there were rivulets of water running down the track. Now it's all starting to freeze up. Everybody's saying the track is extremely bumpy. Ander Mirambel then, the 37-year-old from Barcelona, World Cup start number 90. Now that makes him, in the men's field, 4th in all-time starts behind Martinez, Thomas Ducours and Alexander Tretiakov. Thomas Ducours with 143 World Cup races.
Is that right? 5:37 start, Martin. Must be wounded. He's a better starter than that.
He is struggling with injury. No, he is definitely struggling. He's got a groin strain, and unfortunately racing every week doesn't make it easy to recuperate.
He's going to struggle to stay in the top 20, Martin. I don't think he's going to make the field. And if he had 90 starts, Martin, I bet you he had 50 of them with some kind of an injury. I mean, the guy's red badge of courage.
Last few years, he hasn't completed a whole season, I don't think, because of injury. Best result here, 16th place. And they take a battering across the line.
Well, once he got going, I mean, if you look at he's third, of course, all the way, but he was 84 hundredths at the intermediate number 2, 86, 91, then he brought back to 83. So the bottom part of the track, when he started going fast, you know, good launch onto the sled. I like his technique. Does he overshoot it? Not bad. I'll give him a B+ on the technique, maybe an A-. Here, looked to me a little late in that curve, and that's why he's in that skid there, Martin. You don't want to see the sled going sideways on that part of the track.
Yeah, very different track to the way it was even yesterday in training. Next up, Vladislav Harriskevich of the Ukraine. He starts his 30th World Cup race. 14th and 11th here in December. Didn't race last week in Königssee. He stayed on in St. Moritz for the Junior Worlds. He finished in 6th, right behind Sebastian and Anki of Romania, in fact, who was 5th. So we've got quite a lot of our Junior World Cup, World Championship field here this weekend. Florian Gressel on the wall there, overseeing proceedings on the left.
Yeah, in St. Moritz, just a 2.5-hour drive down the valley. Not far away. That's just back in the old days. Garmisch was only an hour and 45 minutes from here. Königssee, 2 hours from here. So this was like the sliding hotbed. Of course, Cortina, 2 hours from here. There was like a 5 hours, 5 tracks within a couple hours of each other. And this was the central point.
Best
back in the day.
Kreisel. Yeah. Still is. Still using the same venues. Garmisch is gone. It was a natural track, but Vlad getting close.
He'll have great speed down here. He'll get it down to single digits or barely take the lead. This is what he does. He just runs out of track.
Wow.
Oh, he's tied. The guy takes a deficient of 2700ths deficiency at the second clock, and Martin, he brings it all the way back. But we know he's a good slider. He just gives up. He's the 3rd best start. He's 0.10 behind Florian at the start. That's a lot to give back. What's the technique getting on? A minus. If he had a better start, Martin, he would post more top 5, top 6 finishes because he's a good glider. Just a little bit of a skid there, not much. So he's coming over to get on the curve. Yeah, a little bumpy, I agree.
He's saying it's bumpy, yeah. And that is definitely altering the sled lines and the sled angles. Next up, Matt Weston led Martins Ducours after the first heat here in race 1 in December and slipped out to 4th place. Then chased Martins down from 4th place to take the silver medal in the second weekend's race. So he's got pace on this track.
What a start, though. Surprised he doesn't have a better start. Should he have a better start than Austin?
Yeah.
Wow.
Usually you would think.
I'm very surprised at that. Well, got green numbers now, so Martin, with the results he had here in December, I got to say he's one of the podium favorites for sure.
Well, he started 487, 484, 488, and can't find the other one. So 459? 459.
No way.
So those are his 4 starts in December.
That would have been the record. 472 is the record.
Right. No,
2000ths. That's great. That's, the leader. Didn't have the best start, which that's a little surprising.
Yeah, no, a 10th off where he was in December.
Yeah,
now, that might be part of everything frosting up because they've got the refrigeration on hard because of the rain.
Yeah, but if you go and look at his last week's time against Austin, go and look at his start time against Austin Florian last week. He's 6'8", 0.10 better than Florian. This week he's 6'8", he's 600 slower. 400 slower. So I don't have those in front of me. You probably do, Martin, but
yeah,
I'm surprised at the start.
462 for Matt and 466 for Austin. So yeah, he's a 10th off where he was a couple of months ago.
On this track,
Matt Weston
that's a lot.
Yeah, it is. Matt Weston has the early lead with 5 down and 21 still to go. Florian Auer of Austria. He is in 9th place in our World Cup rankings, and he had 2 9th place finishes here in December. His best ever World Cup races came on this track.
So if you do the math, the top 5-6 guys are not here. He should post a top 6 or 7 finish and post his best career finish ever with this depleted field. But you don't look at it as a depleted field for him. You look at it as a big opportunity. Nothing like those PBs, Martin.
Yeah, exactly right, yeah. So he'll be looking PBs. For top 6, hopefully.
He should be down, it was 2,300s back third. He's coming, though. This is where he should make it right here. Best speed. He could get this down into single digits, be the 2nd place. Best speed, should be in the top 2, maybe.
Wow.
2nd, only 500s back. There you go. Boy, he was 1100s behind Weston. Boy, all the way down, Martin. When you got that speed thing.
Yeah, he finds speed at the bottom, doesn't he?
Well, he should. This is his track. His father, 5 times World Cup champion, multiple World Cup champion and world champion. He hasn't posted the results his father did. His father dominated the first part of the 90s, you know, from 89 to 95. 5 out of 6 years he was the World Cup champion and multiple world champion. So.
Well, the last race here, Flo started 5:09 and 5:04. He's just in the 5:08, so it may not be the start track that's the problem. It may be that Matt Weston was just not quite as quick in his first push. Next up, Mattia Gaspari, 27-year-old Italian from Cortina. Joe Cecchini, his former teammate, holding the sled. He's now coaching the team. 30th World Cup start for Mattia, but he missed basically 2 seasons from the Pyeongchang test event until the end of the year last year. He did not slide.
6, not bad. 6, 5th best speed, 4th best speed. There's the 5th best speed, that's an improvement. And now, you know, he's a good slider, Martin, and he was coming on, as you said, in that season in 16-17. And then he tore up that Achilles and we didn't see him. Great personality. 4th best at the start,
season,
5th.
That pre-Olympic season, his World Cup best was 8th place. His best result here, 10th place. All his PBs were set in that season just before he ruptured his Achilles. So he's fighting his way back to that kind of level.
Yeah, doesn't have much speed here at all. 5th. 3/10 isn't bad, and he's 900ths out of 3rd. There's a tie for 3rd between Austin Florian and Vlad from Ukraine. So look at this. Harriskevich is, there's a tie there. Harriskevich and Austin Florian. That start, you could see the feet way outside the lines. Not comfortable. Speed, well, the slingshot, look at the lines. He looks like he's good. His feet, the right toe is a little bit of a rudder action. Spectacular picture here to give you an idea of this curve. And he goes into 8 on his terms.
2nd run, let's see.
Daniel Romanov of Russia, 24 years old, his rookie season, his World Cup best, 5th in the 2nd race here. Mind you, this is only his 7th World Cup start, but he's got speed and plenty of potential.
Yeah, if you got a start, look at this, 486. Now this is the best starter in the field. That's where I thought Matt Weston would be down in the low 90s. But, I mean, right now, this is his race to not be the leader. I mean, he's got to be the leader. 2,500s, Martin. And again, 2 top 10 finishes on short tracks. So like in NASCAR, short tracks, this is a short track. Bristol is a good example of a short track. But Martin, I noticed right there his head's way up. Let's watch him in the straightaway. Look at his head. The head's way up too high, and he's in a skid, and he's going to struggle to be the leader at the bottom. You're hearing a lot of scratching. Could be red at the bottom, Martin.
It's going to be great to contrast his style with Alexander Tretiakov, who's been down this track a dozen more times, a dozen more seasons. And of course, Tretiakov will absolutely know where he's going. Romanov, conditions have changed, and so he's not trusting his lines. He's looking for everything rather than knowing where he's going.
Yeah, I saw his head up a lot. Right here, I noticed his head came way up, and then here in the, it looks like he's taken this curve twice. Let's watch the exit here. He's coming down. Yeah, he's not. How much steering did he do to get that line? Pretty good there, as soon as I said pretty good, look, he's skidding into curve 10. Jinxed him. And now he's got his head down here pretty good, but he taps the wall before the finish line, which is 500s, 300s. Good athlete right there.
Yes, he is. Well, we can compare and contrast now with Russia's most experienced slider, the most experienced in the field. This is World Cup start number 126, plus a few for Alexander Tretiakov. We're working on finding out how many the few are, by the way. So Tretiakov.
Russian rocket. Here you go, watch this. Oh yeah, 43. Like his teammate, 300's better, but this record of 4.72, Martin, January 8th, 2016.
That was in the
5 years ago.
Yeah.
But he's already 200s back, so he with 300s lead, at the start he should have been 800s back. So here he comes now, his experience. He's the only guy to win a gold medal on this track when him and Martin Stukar's tied the second race in December. Other than that, Dukar's won like 10 years in a row, Martin.
Yeah, he won 11 straight. And
11 straight, now figure that out.
Tretiakov tied the first race and then wasn't here for the second one, so Martin's won that on his own. Well,
yes, that's what we would expect.
That's the experience, isn't it? That's the knowledge, and that's the difference between him and Romanov. Romanov started 300 slower, but came down 10 to 15 times that difference behind. So that's a huge benefit of experience. Tretiakov won here first in 2006-07.
Unbelievable. People's careers have come and gone in that time, and this guy's still out here.
Yeah. Well, Romanov was still in short pants, going to elementary school in that year.
Yeah, but something went wrong up top. He was 300 start, and with his velocity getting on the sled, he should have been 900s ahead, and he was like 300s behind. But then he figured things out. But hard to criticize that run.
Well, next up is another potential fast starter, Great Britain's Marcus Wyatt. Quarter of a century, 25th World Cup race start for him. Former wide receiver. 3 races here, 10th, 6th and 4th, but he didn't race here in December, so it's been a couple of seasons since he was here last.
Well, with that start, he should be at the top of the leaderboard, 46. Boy, he got out of that curve 1 late. Watch the velocity. If he gets 5th best velocity, that's a mistake. 3rd, that wasn't bad. It just looked like he got in and out of 1 late. 600s, that's a good sign. If he keeps this within 8-900s, this could be a 2nd place run. 7, yeah, this is good speed. This is take notice. 1000s, still fine. Pretty good. 4th best speed, though the speed's dropping off. Still should be a top move. Getting at least in the top 3. Should probably be 2nd. There it is, 3,300s back.
Yeah,
the British will take
quite
that.
A margin. There's room for a few
How many
more
medals
in there,
does he
but
have?
Are there any more? Just the one. He was 3rd in Sigulda in November last year.
5th in Königssee last week, which is a little different persona than this. This track doesn't have any of those doodles on the exit of the Kreisel. Here it's pretty mellow. Well, when you can start the sled, all you people want to be skeleton athletes, when you can start the sled like he can, you have a chance. If you can't start the sled, it's pretty tough to hit a Grand Slam home run every time you come down.
Just missed out on a podium. Just missed out on the podium the last race he was here, Marcus Wyatt. He was 3rd after the first heat, but then a loose 7th fastest second run dropped him out of the medals. So he may feel that this track owes him something. 10 down, 16 sleds to go here in Innsbruck in Austria. The final race of the BMW IBSF Men's Skeleton World Cup. Martin Haven and John Morgan watching Nikita Tregibov of Russia, bronze medalist here in December.
You know, 6th best start. Let's see what the velocity is. 4th, good improvement. I mean, this is the junior Russian rocket, silver medalist in Pyeongchang, Korea. He slid for the Olympic flag. And Martin, he's a known glider with great speed, and we see the top speed. This looks like another top 3 run, if not a top 2 run. He gets out here, there's the 2nd best speed. Tretiakov got him in that transition. This is going to be 2nd, so the Russians are going to have 3 spots in the top 4.
Yep. Well, Tretiakov, Chegov, and Romanov all missed the 2nd race here in December to go to Altenburg, but now with the top 6 in the, or top 5 in the World Cup rankings missing, could be, there is potential for a Russian sweep of the podium, perhaps.
There's never been a Russian sweep in anything, Martin, which I don't even think in luge. Maybe way back in the USSR days, I don't know, but
yeah,
this is pretty. And Wyatt, Marcus Wyatt is 1200ths ahead of Romanov. Can't fault much of this little rudder out there, but boy, did he come straight, Martin. That's one of the straightest lines. One of the reasons why he's 2nd.
Needs to get his mojo working. He's had a couple of fairly flat seasons, hasn't he, Nikita Tregibov? Let's see what he can do now.
Well, the season is important as the next one, next year.
Yeah, and only the bid in February. Next up for Great Britain, Craig Thompson, 28 years old, 14th World Cup race. He came from 12th to 6th in January's race in 2020 at the end of last season, but that's his only World Cup start here.
Look at that, the 2nd best start. The British, I said it last week, they bring athletes to the track. Look at that, the best velocity. The British bring these athletes that can start the sled. So everybody out there, if you want to become really good in this sport, have a good start. If you don't have a good start, especially on this track, you have no chance. Little tap. He's still got the lead, Martin. This is going to be close. This is going to break up that Russian dominance. He's coming back. Might be right to the 100th. Could be a tie.
Wow. What a run. 200s back from the 2014 Olympic champion Alexander Tretiakov. That's a big run from Craig Thompson. And again, you know, he's got all the speed you need on this track, and it's just getting it to click, isn't it? That's the difference. You know, you can start gangbusters, and all 3 British athletes do, but it's just knowing that you've got it, and that's where it comes in.
Look at his tape. That's going to be aerodynamics. But Martin, the leaderboard reads a British versus Russia competition. The first 6 sleds are 3 British and 3 Russians. I don't think I've ever seen that, Martin.
They're all the top 5 starters.
They're all great starters. They're all the starters.
Absolutely.
I hope everybody listening understands what I'm telling you. Start.
Well, this is like 100 meters, John. If you don't get out of the blocks, they're ahead of you. and it's the devil's job to catch them up. Next up, Sammy Meyer, 21-year-old Austrian, was the bronze medalist in the Junior World Championships in Samoritz last week. So he comes back home on a real high. 7th and 6th here. I just see Christian Auer watching over the barriers. He's got the iPad videoing their starts for the Austrian team. Little slip as he loads.
Well, he's sentenced to a back of the field with that start. I mean, he'll have great speed down below. You know, call this the home track for the Meyers, and the Auers is an understatement. Perfect form. He's got great. He does everything right. Look at the speed. That's perplexing. He can have the best speed with that start, but he's gone from the 12th best start. He's got it down to 8th with a perfect line, best speed. Here comes the Austrian shortcut, Martin. He's got the best speed all the way down. Wow. He's going to be in the top 3. Wow. Fourth. So that breaks up the British and the Russians' dominance. But Martin, his worst finish, right? He had 20th in St. Moritz.
Yeah. 6th place here in the second race in December, just before Christmas, his World Cup best. Yeah, he's got a great shot at improving on that here. He might be on the podium. Last Austrian man on the podium on this track? I don't know. I don't have records that go back that far. Marcus Pence?
Don't tempt me. Could be Marcus Pence, and who's the
I don't think
IBSF?
Googie.
Who's
Mickey Grunberger, Andy Schmidt, you know, Christian Auer. I'm not sure that we're not looking past into last century.
Well, he's 700s off.
Kristen Bromley needs to tell me. Kristen will know. Well, next up, Sammy Kaser, young Swiss, 22 years old. He was in the Junior Worlds in Samoritz last weekend as well, finished in 12th place. He was 19th and 18th in the 2 races here in December.
Martin, now I'm reaching for my book, okay, which is right below my...
Right, everybody, talk amongst yourselves. That's what you need, the books. I haven't got any that are old enough to go back that far.
The Austrians dominated the sport. That's the thing you're talking about. Austria owned the sport in the 90s.
Yep, very much so.
Find my World Cups.
All right, I'll talk about Sammy Kaser. A little late out of the Chrysler, clips the wall on the left-hand side. You can see there's very little sheen on the ice. It is very frosty. And so that's just a bit of stiction for the runners. Elizabeth Meyer reminds me that the Austrians were on the podium in the World Championships in the team race. They were indeed, got a bronze. 54-13 across the line for Sammy Meyer. So he's got Anna Mirambel behind him. And it is looking like it might be tough for Mirambel to make the cut in his 90th World Cup start. Sammy Kaser's 7th World Cup start.
Martin.
Oh, good. Yeah, go on then. Who was it?
I mean, there's so many Austrians winning the World Championships and so many years early in the Worlds. Martin Rettel. Remember him?
There you go.
He was the world champion in Calgary in 2001. Martin is, geez, we haven't seen him in a few years. Then I think that was then the World Cup, the overall World Cup winners. Boy, I'm going back. The Austrians. Martin Rettel, 2001-2 was 3rd.
There you go. That'll be the last podium for an Austrian, I think. Sun Bin-young of Korea,
I got the
our Olympic champion. Fast start so far is a 483. Does he get into the 70s? No, ties 483 with Tretiakov.
Let's see the velocity with the speed. If he's 2nd best speed, 3rd best speed. That means your power step onto the sled and the way you negotiate around those first 2 turns. But Martin, he's already got green numbers.
Yeah, well, the best velocity was Romanov off the 4th best start, not Tretiakov off the fastest or Yun off the fastest.
Okay, beautiful, as you'd expect. 12th best speed, that is suspect. Now he's fighting for top 6 or 7 here, Martin. What happened? Runners, something happened there. He shouldn't be back in this position. 3,400's back. Look at how frustrated.
Richard Bromley, I was asking him about setup, and he said snorkel and flippers, but that was before the race started. So they've looked at the forecast, thought, okay, we may have a snow race, it might be raining, and they may well have chosen the runners for that set of conditions, and it is now dry and frosty.
Well, he's still like 1,400ths out of a medal, 6th, and he's 100th out of 5th. Yeah, well, the quads, Mr. Quad, we could call this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got quads that, I don't know if the bobsledders got quads like that, but something happened here, Martin. The runners, too much friction, something going on.
Yeah. Something in the setup. Marcus Pence 4th in 2007, just missed out on the podium behind Gregor Staley and Daniel Meschler of Switzerland and the winner Alexander Tretiakov. So the last Austrian stats are coming in. Whatever, it's going to be a big day if Sammy Meyer can make the podium. Kim Ji-soo of Korea, 26 years old, like his teammate, didn't race here in December. The Koreans were back home still at that stage because of the COVID situation.
Another Austrian name, Andy Schmidt. He won like 4 straight, 3 out of 4 World Cup titles. Christian Auer, Franz Plagner.
Oh. 3 World Cup races here for Kim. Multiple World Cup and World Championship medalists as well. Kim, his World Cup best 5th place on this track.
Well, he likes the track. He's 6th and 7th so far in the splits. You know, he's within margin of the top 7. It's going to be close. And 35,
he might be ahead of Yun. Oh,
36.
How far behind? 200s behind Yun. There's Katsuhiro Koshi.
Yeah,
Koshi's been successful on this track as well, I think.
Koshi, he's a World Cup medalist in 2003 at the World Championship.
Yeah.
And he was in the 2002-03 season, he was the World Cup bronze medalist in the World Cup season. There's Mr. Well, this guy did pretty good, Martin.
Yep.
He's right there. There's 3 guys in the 30s. So in essence, he's only 1,600ths out of a medal, and head up there. That's what he does here in the finish. Put your head down. No, that's not the finish. That's the extra 10.
Whoa!
Oh! More danger on the flat part of the track than there is coming down.
Yeah, nothing for that carpet to stick to. Alexander Tretiakov is our race leader with 15 sleds down. 16, in fact. Sung Gi-jung next up for Korea, 21 years old. It's his 10th World Cup race. He wasn't here in December either. In fact, he's only had 1 World Cup race. Last week, Koenigsegg, 9th place. It equaled his World Cup best ever result.
Good starter, 80s, great start. 25th in St. Martin, but that's a different animal. This is, where the guy could start the sled like that. This suits his style, and this could be a rising star in the Korean program, and he's still only 400ths back. At this pace, he's going to challenge for the top 5. But the 11th best speed, like his teammate. Maybe some bad setup on his sled too, Martin.
Well, suddenly it's looking like the early starters are not having such a good run. 4th, 5th, and 6th off are 9th, 10th, and 11th at the moment.
This looks like top 7 or 8, Martin, but still good.
Yeah. 8th place.
Another guy in the 30s.
So the 3 Koreans are 400ths apart. Sun Bin-young 3,400ths back, Kim Ji-soo 3,600ths back, Jung Seung-gi 3,800ths back. So the three of them covered
They
by
all look at the
400ths
starts,
of a second.
Martin.
Yeah.
Martin, and look at the threes. The 6th, 7th, and 8th. The Koreans are. They have the first best start, the 7th best start, the 6th best start. Bingo. Nobody comes out. Look at the rudder. He dragged there all the way down that straightaway. How's he doing the finish? Ducks his head? Yes, he does. Then you come up that finish straightaway. It's pretty bumpy.
th starter in our field of 26 athletes. His 8th World Cup, 21-year-old Italian, Amadeo Bagnis. He had a finish in 11th place here in January at the end of last season. That's his only World Cup start. Last week was in St. Moritz for the Junior Worlds. Just missed out on the podium with a 4th place finish. But another good starting Italian. Don't make a liar of me. 5:01, right.
Well, better than his teammate, who's got a lot more experience than he's got. Mattia Gaspari, 5:06. 13th best start. He's got the 12th. Let's see what he is for gliding. He hasn't done himself any justice. He's got the 12th best start, 13th best speed. 5/10ths back. He's not improving on 12. But, you know, he's looking to make the cut, Martin. Looking to make the cut.
And a Mirambel in 17th, Sammy Kaser in 16th. Anybody below 12th at the moment is in the danger zone. He's in 15th. He's got 2 behind him. Joe Cicchini, I'm being told, by the way.
15th.
Joe is the mental coach for the Italian team rather than the driving coach. He's the man who gets their head in the right place, which is actually what his daytime job is with the Calgary Police. Lots of skids, late pressure. Yeah.
Right here. He's a little offline and in the entrance to 8, exit of 9. Look for some spray coming off the runners. There's the skid there as he enters 10. That is a parachute. This is into the finish, or exit of 10. There's the clock. The red line is.
Again, that shot skidding down the hill out of 9. An hour ago when we watched the first forerunner, there was water spraying up there. It is a very different track, even from 1 hour ago. Next up, Austin McCrary of the USA. 4th World Cup start for him. He was here for the Junior Worlds in 2012 and Europa Cup in 2020. So just twice on this track and only once, almost within memory. So it's an uphill struggle.
Uphill struggle. He's got the 19th best start time. So, you know, unless you found 5 Austrian shortcuts on the track, I mean, he's going to struggle to stay in the top 20 and make the cut. On this track, the emphasis on start is so important. He's bringing it back a little bit. He's beaten 1 sled so far. He's 18th on the splits. But,
well, he made the cut in 2 of his 3 races so far, but you're right, this is going to be a tough one. He's got 4th best speed down, though. So he'll be ahead of Anna Mirambel. He
18th.
Is.
Colleyville, Texas guy. Boy, you know, good speed down below and everything, Martin, but when you're the 19th best start out of 19 sleds, doesn't matter how good you are down here. I mean, there's a Grand Slam. He's got to hit beyond a Grand Slam to have a chance. That's not available. Here's, look how late. He's up on the frost there, Martin. That's the highest line on the 3 curves.
Well, they're always saying to me, yeah, you should go down Eagles on the skeleton. I've seen beginners go down Eagles, and more importantly, I've heard the audio. It's all, ooh, oh, oof, oh. it's an easy track compared to some of them, but there's no easy tracks in this business. Next up, Nathan Crumpton for American Samoa, nursing a hip flexor strain. He's spending his winter living in Innsbruck, so for a third time the World Cup comes to him. And there is Christian Auer holding the sled. Now, in the first race in December, he had a big crash in the tunnel after his first heat. The doctors refused to allow him another go, but in the second race, he did get a top 15 finish.
Yeah, he's got the 14th best start. Martin, this is a triple jumper, a track and field athlete from Princeton University, who you and I know at the World Championships here, I think in 16, that was top 10 finisher for the U.S. He had one of the best starts in the field, so this is a wounded athlete here that's nowhere near what he can do, because he had a great start.
Yesterday,
you know, looked like you...
and he was just saying, yeah, just want to make a second heat.
Head's way up. He's right on the bubble for that heat. Yeah. Top 15, 14. If he gets down to the 15th, Martin, he'll make it.
Hasn't quite got the speed, and again, runner set up. 17 could be in.
Ooh,
there's Christian Auer. Yeah, 2 behind him, but 3 behind him, but we've got 4 rookies in the field, and
you got 3 Germans there.
Yeah.
You got 3 Germans coming up, so
3 might be trouble, 3 might not.
Yes.
It's 50-50. It's 50-50, isn't it? I reckon. But actually, a 5:08 start, not too bad.
Well, considering what he'd normally be in the low 90s.
Yeah.
You know, with his athleticism, you know, he's Ivy League champion. I think in the triple jump.
Yeah. And of course, a Buffalo Wrangler as well. Top hair game as well for American Samoa. 20 sleds down, 6 to go. Alexander Tretiakov, our leader, by a tiny margin from Great Britain's Craig Thompson. For the remaining 6 sleds, it is go fast or go home. We start with JeanJacques Buf of Switzerland. The 23-year-old made his debut in St. Moritz. This is his 2nd ever World Cup start.
Well, 19th out of 20th best start, so I wouldn't worry. Nathan Crumpton would worry about that sled. Although, Martin, he was 16th in St. Moritz, so...
Yeah, but that's a track that he knows a little bit, whereas this is much less so. Before the Junior Worlds in 2020, he has only done 4 Europa Cup races in his career. So this is about his 8th race ever.
Pretty good speed.
Yeah.
18th.
Well, the sled is set up.
Trying. He's going to have to get to 16.
He's going to be in.
Going to have to get to 16.
And Ander Mirambel is out. So Ander does not get a second heat. Yes, he is.
He's in for a while. I think he's going to get beat by at least 2 German sleds in 1 lap.
Yeah.
I got to believe all 3 German sleds will beat him.
He's the older of 2 sliding brothers. It's a little bit like the Meyer family and the Auers. It is bumpy. Yeah, everybody's saying this is
look at it. I mean, that's
really tough.
Probably because of the rain overnight, Martin, refrigeration way up.
Yeah.
Planing the track.
The humidity the last few days, yeah, snow in the track, all that. I mean, in December, it was being praised as being really super smooth. But then, of course, we've been to Koenigsegg and to St. Moritz in the last couple of weeks, which are super smooth. Next up, the first of our 4 rookies, Elias Feinsbergs from Latvia. Turned 18, John, on January 8th. So a very young slider. Silver in the under-20 Junior Worlds category.
Just look at this guy. He's got to have a good start. Look at his build. Look at his... Oh, he's out of the lines. He's over now. So much for having a good start. So, Martin, but look at his gait. The way he ran, I said to myself, this is going to be a good starter, but he might have run too far, and now I don't know how much experience he's got, but I don't think he's gonna live for the second run. First guy we've seen come out of the grooves, Martin. It's too bad. His World Cup debut, right? With a name like Elvis, you gotta love him.
You can imagine the nerves as well, can't you? And, you know, just so keyed up to give it everything in a real Felix Koch manner. Pops the groove. Luckily, the runners got caught back in the other groove, but he still hit the wall.
I would have loved to see what his start time would have been. He just looks like an athlete, Martin. So I gave him that benefit of the doubt.
Now I'm going to have to come up with another more hits than Elvis, because we now have an Elvis
that's
in the
right.
building.
You're off that.
Okay.
Elvis, next time for you, my friend.
Yeah.
I liked his start. I mean, I like him. The looks.
Yeah.
What happened here, though?
It's explosive.
He bounced himself out.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it catches in the groove again, but he knows it's going to hit the wall.
And his toes are out. Look, look how hard his toes in the track. Then he hits the wall. If he could get off the sled, he would have got off right then, Martin. But not possible. This wasn't perfect, but of course, might have been a few swear words all the way down the track. Here in the finish, puts the head down. This is 10. I keep calling that the finish. That's 10. Had his rudder out.
Well,
learning
next up
experience.
is his teammate, Chris Netlaus. Netlaus is 22 years old, another World Cup debutant. Another January baby as well, turned 22 on January the 14th. Let's see what he's got.
Surprise, not a very good start there. So both Latvians experience.
Very shy on experience. He was 4th in the Youth Olympic Games in 2016. He's been a winner in the Europa Cup with the Junior Worlds in Samoritz, where he finished 11th. So he had a couple of races on this track.
Well, there's 3 Germans coming up right behind him. So I would suggest he gets 17th, but he's not going to do that. He's 20th now, Martin.
Yeah. At the moment, Austin McCrary of the USA or Chris Netlaus will be in the race, and Netlaus is losing too much time. McCrary clings on for another sled, but I think his time in the race might be at an end. 54.33, well, his debut is made, and the next time we see him and Elvis in a World Cup race, it won't be their first time, and that makes a huge difference. Of course, they'll be even more determined to perform well, but that, unless a couple of Dukors retire soon, and I don't think that's in the offing very soon, might be a while before we see these youngsters again in the World Cup.
Another season, at least, of the Dukars brothers. At least one more season into the Olympics.
Very least.
Very least. And then we'll see them on tour as coaches, if their families will allow it. But
well, yeah, their wives and children might want to see them. Of course, they're so used to them not being around, John, they might not. You know.
I can understand that. My wife was always, "When are you going?" You know.
Yeah. Well, you know, and she can't even escape to Florida this year. 3 to go. Killian von Schleinitz. 14th World Cup race for Killian, the 26-year-old from Koenigsegg. His brother also slides in Luge World Cup for Germany. This is his first World Cup start since, can you guess? Calgary, February the 22nd, 2019.
Well, this should be at least a top 10 slider.
Yeah.
Top 10 slider, I would say here. And the guy in the bubble right now is Austin McCrary is the guy in the bubble right now. Of Austin from the United States, Colleyville, Texas.
Von Schleinitz should definitely be top 10. He actually possibly even has top 6 potential here, which may well curse him to finishing 18th.
Not doing great, Martin. 12th, 11th. He's 9th best speed. He might get it to 11th.
He has had a best of 7th here. That was his last race on this track. Little wild. top 10 maybe at the line. 14th, it all went away with that little skid.
Well, of course, he's coming 22nd or 23rd in the field, Martin. So,
but the track is holding up a lot more than I thought it would. Richard Bromley saying that he set up the Korean sleds with too much control because they thought it was going to be really aquaplaney. And that may be an issue for quite a lot of our athletes. Watching the rain as they were warming up, they would have set up for a very skiddy track, and it's not. It's frosty and grippy.
This got great form. Everything he did down the track was, look at the exit of 10. A little late here maybe though. Look, come in the middle of the curve. He's got to get up on the outlet. You don't want to be up there where the wood is.
14th World Cup start for Killian von Schleinitz. He is in 14th, but he is in the second heat. On the bubble now, Sammy Kaser of Switzerland and teammate JeanJacques Buf with 2 to go. World Cup debutant Cedric Renner, 20 years old, from Koenigsegg. He's the Europa Cup points leader this year. He's had 5 Europa Cup races here, in fact. 7th in last week's Junior Worlds.
Well, that's start time. 15th best start. Good form. 17th best speed. I think that's the track. And on the bubble, Sammy Kaser, as you said, from Switzerland, 9th best speed. He's got it 15, 18, 17 on the trap so far. 16th now. Top 18 will get him into the second run, Martin. 19.
Oh, look at the speed.
And
look at the
huge
speed down at the bottom.
Ooh, late though. He was really late in the second Kreisel. 12th. Came all the way back.
As well, right by the timing eye. 500s quicker than Killian von Schleinitz. And
boy, there's a close race there in the 60s and 70s.
Isn't there?
He's only 100th. Yeah, look at it. He's only.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a 10th back from Florian. It was 11th.
Hey, everyone.
I think he'll do better the second run, Martin.
Yeah. I'm liking the look of this young slider. He's in.
I think he speaks good English, Martin, from that first little seance. Good lines there. I mean, he did everything right except for down here. Look, that's late. He's airborne. And a little wild coming off the sled, but he was letting it fly. Ducks his head at the finish. He's been on this track before. Look at the airborne.
Yeah.
Martin, I don't know if I've ever seen this track this bumpy.
No, right down there at the finish especially. I mean, yeah, it's just a jump. Final slider then is also from Germany, also a World Cup debutant. He's 23 from Winterberg. This is Felix Seibel, the 1920 Europa Cup champion. He's currently 3rd in ICC after 1 race in Altenburg. And he was the silver junior world champion in 2020.
Not a very good start. 15th. So then it goes right out to the 17th best speed. Well, the Swiss, Mr. Buf, is on the bubble.
Yeah. All drifting away to 17th.
And this looks,
Felix Seibel.
Well, with the experience he's got, Martin.
Yeah, but it's not the run that he needed,
Oh, it's 19th. It's not good.
Speed. It's him. It's
going to be close
between him and JeanJacques Buf. He's in and Buf is out. Just by the skin of his teeth, John. That wasn't too tidy. So he's in 19th.
And
Nathan Crumpton in 20th. Yeah, he clings on.
He'll be our first guy off.
But JeanJacques Buf, Sammy Kaser, Austin McCrary, Ander Mirambel, Klaus Nicklaus and Elias Feinsbergs are out of the second heat. Well, this could have gone either way. On pretty much every shot we see, you think, ooh.
Yeah. There's this big skid there. That was a parachute into the finish. Little bump on that little tray coming up that steep straightaway.
So, Felix Seibel completes our first heat of 2. He is in the race. And at the top of the pile, the man who won one of our races here in December, Alexander Tretiakov. He won one of them, and Martins Ducours won 2 of them. There were only 2 races. He and Ducours tied for the gold in the first race here in December. And now, a month later, he is leading once more. So Tretiakov by 200ths from Craig Thompson of Great Britain. Nikita Chegabov by 700ths from Sammy Meyer. Is Marcus Wyatt, Sunbin Yun, Kim Ji-soo, Jung Sung-gui, are they out of the running? What about Daniel Romanov? Can he put a good second heat together? And Matt Weston and Florian Auer, they fared better here in December. Cedric Renner, top rookie, 12th place. Great run from him. Had a more experienced teammate, Killian von Schleinitz. And also making the field in 19th place, another German rookie, Felix Seibel. Nathan Crumpton rounds out the top 20. Not making the second heat, JeanJacques Buf, Sammy Kaser, Austin McCrary and Miran Bell in his 90th race, Chris Nedlaus and Elias Feinsbergs. Join them, John Morgan, me, Martin Haven, and the IBSF TV crew to watch the second and deciding heat, the last of the season. Sleds will be on ice in a little over 45 minutes. We'll see you then. Bye for now.